Alright guys, how's it going? Just a quick video to talk about a problem that I think a lot of people have when they're first starting to work, especially with like code and stuff and GameMaker. Um, they'll put all the code together from watching the tutorials or something, they'll run this and then boom, they'll get some code error in their face, and because there's kind of a lot of text and stuff going on in here, they won't necessarily know anything about that, and most people's first reaction to this seems to be to just like copy and paste this into like a message to me or a comment or something. And obviously, if I get floods of all this text and stuff, I don't have time to read it all. But like a lot of the time, it's the same issue, and the most common code error you can get when you're working with code is pretty much this one, and I'll come to explain it in a second. One of the things I don't really like, I suppose, about GameMaker Studio, specifically as opposed to GameMaker, one of the few things I don't really like is that it's much harder to read these code errors. Before it would tell you something like it was very much more straightforward with its errors, and it would just say like unknown variable at something or other, line something or other. And while this does actually give you more information about the error, it's kind of hard to read. But what's going on here is if you see something like this, and you see this line here, variable get, like this push execution area, push execution error, we'll get there in the end, push execution error, variable get, and then like something dot, and then a word over here, that all it means is it's trying to find a variable that you've mentioned somewhere in your code that it can't find, and that could be rooted in a million of different sort of problems. But it usually comes down to you having spelled something wrong, or not having declared a variable elsewhere, like it's trying to say, oh, add A to B, but you've never told it what A is, and that's basically what's going wrong. So whenever you get a quick like code error comes up, always just like have a quick look for this line specifically, because I've seen it in so many comments, so many messages. Push execution error, variable get, and then that's how you know that the problem is it can't find a variable. This -1 dot here, like that's just referring to the instance inside the code that it like is trying to reference it. Like if you were naming like a global variable, I think this would be something like -6. -1 just means like itself. So it tells you it's in the step event. It's action number 1 of the step event for the object player. So it gives you all the information you really need here, and it says, okay, it's trying to find the variable referring to itself, vk underscore left somehow or other. Fair enough. And then it tells you exactly what line of code it's at as well. So it says at in the object in the step event on the very first line of code, if keyboard check underscore direct vk underscore left x minus equal 2. And now if you're a little bit smart, you can probably work out already what the problem is here. It's trying to find vk left, and in here, and this is the line where the problem is. So I mean, let's just go have a look at that line. In object underscore player, in the step event, the first action, and you can see the problem here already, because we've got all these options set up here for our keyboard to move the character around, and they're set to VK up, VK down, VK right for the different keys. But then this one is VK left, and obviously left isn't a direction we want, left. And you can see it's gone red there, because when we just had this in before, it thinks there's some sort of variable in there, so it's trying to say, oh, what's VK left? I don't know what that is, and then it throws up an unknown variable error, and that's all that's happening. So that's the typical kind of problem you can run into with that specific error, and it is very difficult to kind of read those errors if you've never seen them before. But if you just kind of you think about it and you break it down like I just did, and you can go back and look at how I broke it down, you can tell it's actually telling you a lot of information about what's wrong, and that's how you learn how to debug these kind of things and so on and so forth. But variable errors like that are usually just something like a misspelled variable, or like you're referring to something like, I don't know, just equal potato, for example. That'll try, when I press left, to subtract potato from x, but it won't know what potato is. So I mean, if I run that just to demonstrate as well, I press left, boom, variable get -1 dot potato. See, it doesn't know what that is, and then it tells you the same line of code that it was at, and you can see the problem. And then you can just go in and you can fix that, or you can just set potato to equal something, or you get the idea. Anyway, that's just there to just hopefully clear up a little bit about how you solve those errors, and hopefully leave you with a little bit of a better understanding of how the error reporting system in GameMaker works. Alright, thanks for watching, hope that was helpful and wasn't too rambly and bad, and I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching, guys.